Can 15 Agitite armor plates stop a single railgun shot? No, but it does raise an interesting question. What can? There are currently 22 types of materials available in the ship designer, though not all of these are created equal, and not all of these are even in the game.
However, we do have information on each of these materials, and we can pull them out and play with them in the ship design, even if we can't drag them into the game world and use them there.
Materials are differentiated based on a number of different factors, such as their armor value or the corrosion resistance they have. There's also something called the voxel penetration multiplier, though I've only been able to find references to it on the wiki itself, and not in the ship designer or anywhere in-game. The two main features we're going to be looking at are armor value and density, which is given in the units of kilogram per kilovoxel. Materials such as Agitite, which was in the beginning clip, have a very high density to armor value ratio. This means that they offer incredibly little protection for their weight and aren't really meant to be used as armor plating. Of the 9 materials well suited for armor plating, 6 are unique enough to test: Agesium, Kutonium, Ymrium, Charodium, Lukium, and Oninum. Bastium will also be included as a sort of baseline to measure other, stronger materials against. Of course, railguns aren't the only weapon systems you're going to be encountering out there in the void. So to get a better picture of how each of the 4 weapon systems in the game interacts with different plate materials, we're going to be using all 4 in these tests. To do these tests, I've created a test range inside of the ship designer. It has each of the game's 4 weapon systems pointed at 3 stacked plates. On the backside of these plates is a large propellant tank, put there to give us a better visual representation of when we've actually penetrated the plate. Without further ado, let's get started. Bastium is the weakest material that we will be testing today, with an armor value of 0.75. Its density is middle of the pack, but the lack of armor protection is obvious. The railgun only needs a single shot to penetrate 3 layers, and the plasma cannon 6. Bastium's one positive attribute is its price. A 432 by 432 centimeter plate, the ones I'm testing with, costs only less than 3,000 credits, so if you're not going to be leaving the safe zone, it is a reasonable choice. With Agesium, you begin to see an immediate improvement. It's more than a full armor value point more than Bastium, although the density is less, making Agesium an overall better choice than Bastium. It survives 2 shots from a railgun, however, which isn't really much when you consider that there's 3 plates. Agesium is also 5 times more expensive than Bastium, meaning you're paying a much higher premium for only about an armor value point more. There might be a better option. Kutonium is Agesium's much more expensive cousin. They both take about the same amount of punishment, but Kutonium costs about 3.5 times more. You may think that this cost differential is reflected in a lower density, perhaps, but the density of Kutonium is only about 0.3 kilograms per kilovoxel lower than Agesium. If you're looking for a light armor that offers a decent bit of protection, you'd be better off looking towards Agesium or towards our next material, Ymrium. Ymrium's results are very similar but slightly better than both Agesium and Kutonium, its fellow light armor competitors. While it is still about 3 times as expensive as Agesium, Ymrium is the lightest of the 3 light armors that we've talked about, coming in at only 8.78 kilograms per kilovoxel. It is also interesting to note that none of the light armors provide any sort of decent protection against railgun fire. Each of them takes only 2 shots to penetrate 3 levels of armor and a large propellant tank. If you're looking to protect against railgun fire, you will likely be better off choosing one of the options that I'm going to talk about next. But if you're only looking for a solid light armor that's light and durable, your best bet is Ymrium. Lukium is tied with Ymrium for the most dense material in Starbase, coming in at 23 kilograms per kilovoxel. However, Lukium's extremely high density also comes with high armor value, meaning it can take almost twice as much punishment as the light armors that we've discussed previously. It is with Lukium that single plate protection against railguns becomes feasible. A railgun shot at close range will break a Lukium plate, but it will not penetrate to the machinery below that plate. Lukium's downsides are twofold. Firstly, its price is very high. It's only slightly less expensive than Kutonium, and plating an entire battleship in this material would drain a lot of checking accounts. Secondly, its density is also similarly high. A battleship fully plated in Lukium will be slower than a similarly sized counterpart plated in a different material, so this extra weight needs to be compensated for by something, such as adding more thrusters, or simply accepting that the ship is going to be slower than everything else. Oninum's density is similar to that of Lukium, but for Oninum it's a lot easier to justify it due to the sheer level of protection it affords. Unlike Lukium plate, Oninum plate can take a railgun shot at close range without even breaking. There's only one problem in keeping this miracle material from being my top recommended armor for use on combat ships. Nobody's found any. Until Oninum becomes a little more common, we're unfortunately limited to using it only in the test mode of the ship designer, which is a shame, because it's by far the strongest material. Charodium is last on the list, but it is far from least. Quite the contrary, in fact. It offers the second highest level of protection of all the armors showcased here, with the exception of when it's shot by a railgun. While Lukium blocks, and Oninum reflects a railgun shot, a single plate of Charodium offers no protection against the short-range railgun shot, which penetrates it directly and does damage beyond it. On the other hand, it excels at defending against autocannons, lasers, and plasma cannons alike, and has surprisingly low density, at a mere 15 kilograms per kilovoxel. Charodium's other greatest strength is the value it offers for its price. Charodium is nearly 10 times as affordable as Lukium, which it outperforms. So, what does all this mean? Which of these 6 types of armor is the best in the most situations? We can use the process of elimination to pick our favorite. First to go is Kutonium. Its overly high price, as of the time this video was recorded, and lack of commensurate benefit make it an easy elimination. Next on the chopping block is Lukium. Its decent level of protection does not outweigh the downsides of its absurd weight. Lukium can be situationally appropriate, however, if single-plate defense against railguns is necessary. Oninum is also eliminated, but for a much more simple reason. I'm pretty sure it's not even in the game. If you found some, leave a comment and let me know where you found it. Aegisium is next. It's the cheapest of the light armor options, but it is the heaviest, and offers just about as much protection as tissue paper. Ymrium is a very solid choice if armor must be light, but it offers relatively little protection for its price if density is irrelevant. This leaves Charodium. Charodium has the best performance of any in-game material against each of the 3 conventional weapon systems. Even against railguns, it may still be the best choice. Due to its relatively low density, a dual-layered set of Charodium 432 by 432 cm plates, the size used in these tests, only weighs 15,000 kilograms, more than a single Lukium plate. That is less than the weight of a tripod autocannon base. It is also the cheapest of these 6 final candidates by far. Those 2 Charodium plates cost a fifth of what that Lukium plate costs. If you're building a custom battleship in the ship designer and wondering what armor plate you should use, I'd recommend you give Charodium a try. What's the worst that could happen? As a parting gift, here's the fun part of the opening clip 10 more times.